What's going on? We're sitting here in the park on Saturday, July 10th.
I think so.
July 10th.
Yeah.
It's about 3 p.m. In Nashville, Tennessee. Yeah, we're here.
What's up, man? How you doing? How are you doing?
Well.
Yeah?
We're well,
man.
Yeah.
Cartoon therapy. It took a while, and it's finally here. It's out. Man, how are you feeling? I mean, that's a hell of an accomplishment to be just working on something for so long and then finally to put it out to the world for them to see.
It feels really good. Like I've discussed it like a little bit, but it's kind of just like it was sort of like that like that meme or whatever where it's like the staircase and the kid's leg is like going over like 5 stairs.
Yeah.
It's like that, like you had to like climb up each stair individually to get to the next one.
Exactly. What was the first stair, man, in that entire process? Because this project sonically and also I think lyrically in a certain certain aspects too is completely different from your first project, Apocalypse Wow.
That was kind of the first step where it's sort of you don't even really know what you're trying to make, you're just making stuff. That was just kind of me to sort of cultivating my production style.
Right.
And like pretty much practicing songwriting. Like I wasn't really trying to like write tracks until probably Apocalypse Wow. Whereas like my older stuff, it was just sort of, you would just kind of, all right, there's 2 hooks or there's 3 hooks in this song. There's 1 verse, there's 2 verses. Oh, this song has a bridge, this song doesn't. This song has an intro, like a little instrumental jam for a minute. Just kind of like still mostly just practicing production styles and stuff because like everything is so it's like that staircase where it's sort of you couldn't have made your next thing without making the previous thing.
Right.
So it's even sort of like to me that's all that not all that it was, but like that's a huge kind of that to me is a massive descriptor of cartoon therapy. Like I had to make that in order to unlock what I want to make.
That's a good way to put it, man.
Like you're in the video game and
yeah.
And like you can't have like your stamina at level 100. It has to be level 80 first.
That
or level
is true.
60.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
In order to level up, in order to get to the next level and keep progressing. So I think for an artist, right, like the environment that you find yourself in is so crucial to developing and just seeing your vision kind of come through. Dude, I mean, you made this album from 2020 to 2021, right, roughly?
I made Cartoon Therapy basically beginning of August 2020 until the album itself was done beginning of November 2020-ish, mid-November 2020, and then the mixing and mastering took a really long time. The mixing and mastering took me until about early to mid-December. The whole project was completely done by mid-December, and then all the videos were done. The 5 visuals were done December, January, and February.
Which shout out Chase.
Chase Denton.
That was phenomenal, man. Like it was just seeing those videos come through. I mean, I had such an immense amount of joy because just going from obviously like
my older visuals are pretty low quality.
Yeah, to then just like the bump up and just incredible. I mean, so developing like this cartoon therapy world, man, take me through like what was the environment that this album was made in, man? Because it was like, dude, 2020 obviously was like shit for everybody. I don't think anyone had a year.
There's dragonflies like all around us.
Yeah, hopefully the camera's
dragonflies. Yeah, that's really cool. But anyway, yeah. So like cartoon therapy, pretty much I made Apocalypse Wow. You've put it out, you finish, whatever. The experience is all done, and then it gets to like April 2020, and then our school year got called off. Pretty much COVID was like creeping in and like becoming kind of like worldwide national news, like right as Apocalypse Wow was coming out. So it was kind of this big question mark, and my album is coming out during that. And then it's, my school year gets canceled. I immediately felt almost like an anxiety right when the album came out. I almost felt like now I gotta do it again, basically.
Really? Just like right after?
Instantly, yeah.
Maybe two days or so later, I was like...
Instantly really stressing myself out. And it got to a point where it was kind of like I was telling myself, you have to basically make Apocalypse WoW again, but like at a higher level in quality. And all this stuff. It has to have like another concept, just like Apocalypse WoW did, and all this stuff. And pretty much because it was like this isolation state of like society, everyone's kind of in the crib, you know, on their own doing nothing.
Yeah.
It was basically like, I was like, okay, I have to start making music again. Because kind of a way that I work is I make a body of work and then I don't make music for a while afterwards.
Yeah.
So like I finished Apocalypse WoW in, you know, whatever it is, October, and then I hadn't made, you know, now it's April and I hadn't really made anything since then. You know.
I mean, but you like teased another project, like Spirit Gangster, right? Like there was some kind of teaser of it.
Well, that was Cartoon Therapy. That was the original idea of Cartoon Therapy.
Oh shit. Okay. Yeah.
That was me 2 days later after Apocalypse WoW drops, and I'm like, okay, what is this next album? Oh, it's called Spirit Gangster.
Right away, you were just like, okay, yeah.
Right away, and that was honestly a big mistake on my part.
Right.
It was supposed to be a dance album. I wanted to make like my own spin on like Daft Punk Discovery.
Dang. Okay, so that was the OG.
That was the OG idea. Like Toro y Moi has this record called Outer Peace.
Yeah.
That's the album with like Freelance and Laws of the Universe and all that shit. And I wanted to make like my own spin on like that kind of attitude. Like very, very self-confident, very like, woo, you know, very like, the whole message was the whole like Spirit Gangster like message was supposed to be like you are like so powerful, like you can like be your own boss, like you can control your destiny,
you can be an island.
Yeah, like the whole message was the whole theme was going to be like empower the person listening to it and like make them feel like they're like this dope motherfucker.
Right. Let me scratch that question. Let me ask you a different one. Like, what were the, I guess, like, cornerstones to developing what you see in an artist? Like, who were the kind of role models that you saw and you were like, okay, that's what it means to be an artist in my world?
A huge thing that like definitely really shaped me when you kind of look back is concept albums. And like I loved the band Rush, one of the most legendary progressive rock bands of all time. And their thing was concept albums. This album Hemispheres, it's about the left side of your brain, which is the creative side, and the right side of your brain, which is like the logic, the very like analytical side of your brain, whereas the left side is where all like your artistry comes from or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's about a war going on inside of this man's head, and it's literal armies fighting each other in the brain. They're each ruled by the left and right sides of the brain.
That's so crazy.
And then like there's like the Greek gods get involved somehow, and it's all this crazy thing.
Dude, so how old were you when you found this first concept album, like this Rush one? Was that your first one, or that's something down the line?
No, so I got into that album I was talking about. It's called 2112. I got into that first. Okay. I got into that first, but yeah, it was like when I was really, really young, I was loving these concept albums.
The whole concept of that is it's supposed to go, whoa, what the fuck? What the fuck?
Wow. A dragonfly.
And then, you know, when I got older, like it was like Wolf and all that, like to Pimp a Butterfly and everything. But I've always loved concept albums.
Did you have a favorite producer back in the day? Like when you were first chopping up beats and like making just like, you know?
Honestly, bro, I was such a fan of like Mac Miller's producer alias, Larry Fisherman. I thought Larry Fisherman was the coolest shit ever. And like he has all those beat tapes, like Larry Fisherman Presents, like Run-On Sentences. His own production on watching movies with the sound off, like Avian, like I'm Not Real, like Aquarium, I think is his beat, and then just every beat on Faces. I don't know, where like Tyler was more like, it was very messy but very pretty in its messiness.
Right.
Whereas like the Mac stuff was more like the Larry Fisherman beats were much more colorful in like a trippy way.
Right.
And then that, you know, like, cause I was getting into those types of sounds like kind of 2012, 2013, when you get into like the really old Tame Impala stuff, like the lonerism.
Yeah.
Then like all that psych rock, like Melody's Echo Chamber and that stuff. It's kind of really interesting always looking back on like the music that you listen to, you know, as a young man or just whatever, because you're just kind of like, everything plays into what you like now, it's informed by what you used to like. You look at like synth pop and vaporwave and just all these different genres where it's like, you're like, wait a second, this part of this beat that I'm like obsessed with as a 21-year-old, this also got me excited when I was 10. And then you look at the similarities and you're kind of like, wait a minute, there's so many constants from so many different musical genres, bands, eras, scenes, you know, moods and feelings that it's like, you're like,
wait a second, man. Like
a big reason why I like Wolf is why I like Mama's Gun by like Erykah Badu or something, right? I made an album in 2017 before I started any of like the HJ shit, and it was kind of just like pretty much my first time ever releasing music. My first time ever actually putting stuff like on streaming services. It was my first time like trying to like actually make something that people would enjoy.
It is kind of like beautiful though, in a certain sense. Like, I know that's a strong word to say, but it just shows kind of like the beginning of something. Later on, it kind of forced you to be like, all right, let me think of this like more calculated. Like, what am I trying to make? It kind of
because that's exactly what happened.
Okay.
That's exactly what happened. Where it was like I put out this album. It's 13 tracks. It's like 50 minutes or so. The song there's no song structure on the whole album. There's maybe one or two choruses. There's really it's basically just verses. It's not a rap album because I'm not really rapping.
Yeah.
I'm basically like talking over these beats.
Yeah.
What basically inspired that album was like the death of like all my grandparents. All of them kind of dying like really close to one another.
Right.
Like we were talking about that earlier.
Yeah.
But like it was pretty much like I'd never experienced a death in my life up until age 17. And then my mom's mom died, who we were like our whole family. She was like what do they call it? Like the matriarch.
Yeah.
Right? Like just like the fucking head of the whole extended family.
Right.
Like it's trying her ass off to like give all the grandkids like these crazy like creative inventive gifts, like taking us to like the Field Museum and the aquarium and the planetarium and everything, like every weekend, the botanical gardens. Shout out, incredible. Yeah, bro. Rest in peace. Reading us encyclopedias. You know what a world book is?
Yes, yeah.
So she had the entire alphabet of world books.
Oh my gosh.
A to Z. And she would like make us like read the world books and shit. Like she got us all into like ancient Egypt and like pirates and dinosaurs. Like she was all about just like learning.
In your music, I noticed that there's a lot of self-awareness and there's a lot of sometimes honesty. Like, how do you stay truthful and how do you stay honest to yourself?
I don't know. I feel like it's almost a thing. Like this sound a little bit strange, but I feel like it's kind of a thing where the stuff that I talk about in music, I don't want to talk about that in real life. Where it's kind of like it's nice because you can almost use it as a vehicle to take anything that's happened to you in your life and turn it into something
Just
kind of
being vulnerable and just
being vulnerable has become like a cool thing, which is interesting. You know, that's like a big part of our generation, definitely, is being vulnerable is like a aesthetic now.
You have artists now that are able to say things that in the past, like, nobody would have even tried to say because it was so polarizing and it was so, like, I like how a lot of things are just being normalized and being accepted.
Wow.
Did you actually get dumped over breakfast?
No.
You made that up?
That's made up.
If you were to get dumped over breakfast, what would you be eating?
Probably nothing. I'd be too sad to eat.
Well, no, like, I mean, I've seen you work. There's so much behind the scenes stuff for an artist to do. I mean, and like, dude, shout out your team for
shipping the vinyl.
Yeah,
and all
shipping
that.
the vinyl, exactly. Yeah. Would you say, like, are you kind of happy that how you've gone from wearing your own shirt at Senior Shirt Day to now having good quality merch, essentially? Like, that's a dope kind of, you know.
Yeah. if what he's referencing is it was like a lyric. And pretty much, like, I don't know if someone listening to this, maybe this isn't how it goes at your high school or whatever, but at our high school, when we would graduate, there would be like a senior shirt day, where it would be groups of kids would like form and like make their own little shirt on like custom ink or whatever, where it would be like a little funny thing. I don't even know. Yeah, seniors with like the Supreme box logo. Yeah, literally, that's exactly what it would be. Like something like that, and there would be kind of all these groups. Some groups would be like 30, 40 kids deep, and they'd all have the same t-shirt on, and then there'd be a large photo where you'd show up and it would be just a giant panoramic photo that the high school would have a photographer take, and it would be all the different groups in the yearbook, whatever.
Yeah.
And I didn't really have like a group to go with. Like I could have gone with like the theater kids, but like I don't know, I just kind of felt like there wasn't really a group that I really was like in with, and I like wore one of my Swirl World t-shirts to that, and like I thought that it was it was like I wanted to seem like I was being like a unique, like, oh, he's like rocking with his own shit, like that's awesome, but in reality I was just like really down that I didn't really feel like I had a group to go with.
You got to be able to talk about your emotions, I feel like, and be vulnerable in order to take control of your emotions, because if you just let them
because if you're not, then you're going to go down a dark road.
Exactly.
And I feel like I've definitely been there a couple times.
Yeah.
Where I like haven't let people in, like I've just kind of like suffered in silence a little bit. I feel like everyone does that every now and then. Like,
Yeah,
you go through a little period where you're just like, I'm just dealing with my own shit, and like I'm just kind of on my own right now, and I'm gonna get through it, but it's gonna be a little bit tough.
Yeah. When you were making this album, was that at all like, were you kind of, because it's so singular when you make, I guess, music in general, like, do you ever feel kind of bottled up? Like, do you have those days where you're just like, you're working on something, you're frustrated, it's not working out?
I mean, yeah, that's normal. That's what I think that happens with everybody, of course. Talks about like, this was a challenge that happened. Oh, this beat got lost on a corrupted hard drive, or I had to rewrite this track 3 times, or like Cartoon Therapy, I had to re-record all vocals on the whole thing because I had like a mic error that I didn't catch until I was done.
Yeah.
And then I got COVID. I lost my voice. It was like this whole string of shit. So it's like that happens where you're kind of just like, this shit is not working today. But I feel like in terms of getting down or getting frustrated or getting bottled up or whatever, it's sort of like whenever I'm making something, I get so focused on making it that I'm not really thinking about that. And then after, when I finish making it, I get really like down and really like aimless.
Yeah.
Like after I finished the album, after I finished both like Apocalypse, finished Cartoon Therapy, even maybe my earlier, like my EPs and all the shit, like it was sort of like right after they're done, you're like so down on yourself because you're like, what now?
Do you feel like you'll ever have a point in your music, discography where you tackle like spirituality a little more head on? Like, yeah.
I wanted to get into making dance music, but I didn't have the tools yet.
Yeah.
I think a lot of the spiritual topics and a lot of the more philosophical topics, that's like the next stage.
Ooh.
Where it's like, not the next stage as of in it's going to be
right after, but yeah.
But in the next stage in terms of, I don't have the tools to make that yet. That type of music where it's really discussing heavy spiritual topics lyrically, heavy philosophical tones and stuff like that, but almost in the sense of I got to make some more stuff to access that.
Yeah.
But I think it's definitely going in that direction for sure, just because a lot of the music that I like now is heavily talking about those topics.
How important is spirituality to you as an individual?
Important.
Really important.
Do you meditate?
I do. I do.
It's phenomenal. What kind of energy do you try to give off?
I don't know, because I feel like I've just given up on trying to give off a certain energy because I just can't control what people are going to think of me.
That's a good point.
I've just like, I feel like I used to be, that was a big thing, right?
Yeah.
That's one of my biggest problems in life is I'm a control freak and I want to control what people think of me or how they see my music or who listens to my music or how am I perceived not only on a listener base but on like a music industry level. Perception, like being hyper obsessed with perception and just being hyper obsessed with how people look at me, whether it's on a musical level or on a day-to-day level. Oh, is my friend like thinking my fit is so cool right now? Like, is my friend gonna think that like I'm awesome because I like got this like really rare like copy of a vinyl or something? Like just really goofy things where you're just obsessed with how people are looking at you. And I'm just, honestly, right now, I'm just trying to let go of that. That's like my biggest challenge right now is just fucking drop that. It's a big deal.
Further up the ladder that you want to go up to, and part of it is just like we're letting the technology use us, and we're not
letting the technology use us. We're letting all these advertisements, all this stuff, we're letting it own us.
Yeah.
And like, I'm guilty of that. I'm not saying that I'm some fucking like
Saint.
where I'm like, oh dude, the advertisements, they're owning us, bro. We're being bro, I'm a sucker for advertisements. I love Kanye, bro.
Dude.
Like, I love products. I love stuff.
Stuff is cool, dude.
I feel like our generation, it almost comes to a point where our fixation on like status, accolades, I was talking earlier, like perception, bro, being hyper obsessed with perception.
Absolutely.
And like and it ruins you.
It does.
And it's almost like you're living your life almost for others and what they see of you, and to like flex and to impress them. You can get to a point, I've gotten to that point, where you are living your life almost to prove them wrong, and you are living to say I told you so. The thing about Apocalypse Wow going into cartoon therapy is that was kind of my mindset a little bit, and it was a really shit mindset to be in, you know?
Did it kind of hinder your creative process at times?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. There's like the album was so hard to make, and that was why. Because I had to like let go. There was like a point where I was maybe a month into making it where I had to let go and just be like, just make it, dude. Just make this.
Yeah. Just like whatever. And it doesn't matter what people are gonna think of it. Like, you just gotta kind of get it out.
Yeah.
So you had to battle your ego a little bit.
Totally.
Yeah.
Well, it wasn't even battling my ego. It was to the sense of like, people, I feel like a thing these days, and like you being like a big Tyler fan,
Yeah.
I feel like people these days really eat up like the very intense personalities.
Oh yeah.
Like the Igor thing, man. Like, he steps out on stage and he's in this wig, and he's like acting all crazy. Like, people eat that shit up.
They love it.
People eat that shit up. And it was almost like I felt like I needed to kind of act that way a little bit in order to be like liked more.
Yeah. Was Huron Disco fun to make at least?
That was one of the final tracks that I made. Yeah. Well, okay, it was a very fun album to make.
Okay.
Very fun album to make.
But it was a hellhole.
But it more so got to a point after the album was created. That's when it got bad.
Yeah.
I guess I've phrased that terribly. That's what I'm trying to say is the creation of this album was really fun. Writing it, making the beats, bro, was like the most fun I ever had producing, for sure.
Cosmic opera, bro.
Yeah, making those beats was the most fun I ever had producing shit. But I'm talking when I had to mix it and master it and engineer all the vocals, and that's when it got really dicey, because I got in my own head where I was kind of like, Apocalypse Wow has this really, really rough energy to it, where it's very not polished. It's very dirty.
Yeah.
You know, and it was almost like I was like, dude, cartoon therapy, bro. It's like the engineering has to be better. The production has to be, more intense and more lavish and more complicated arrangements.
Right.
More complicated songwriting, lyrics. I got to be saying some crazy, and it's like that just bogged me down and got me really down. And it was almost like, in order to get past that, I needed to finish the record.
Right.
Wow. Wait, let me say something really quick.
Yeah.
Sorry. I was like trying to think of how to say it. But one of like the coolest scenes, honestly, ever in movies ever is like the John Travolta dancing part.
Yeah.
Holy shit. That to me was just so epic. I was like, just when he's just twisting around and he's with I forget that actress's name.
Uma Thurman.
Yeah, he's with Uma Thurman, and they're coked out or whatever they're on, and they're in that little like diner, and he's dancing, dude.
That diner is crazy as well.
That was the coolest scene.
Yeah.
Like, I think John Travolta is a cold motherfucker.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I mean, even
so
that,
dope.
Even that, like,
when they're like the hitmen, bro, and they're pulling up in the suits.
Yes.
Like, oh, he's so cold.
Yeah, he's cold.
He's so cold.
Royale with cheese.
Yeah.
That's a good burger.
Back to that. People think that if you're not doing something by like your mid-20s, that it's just never meant to be. That's what I've had conversations with full adults where they tell me that I wish I played guitar. Like, what do you mean you wish? You're fucking 40 years old.
Exactly.
Like, go pick up the guitar, man.
Yeah.
Like, when those conversations, it's always like, bro, like you're not some 85.
Yeah,
like you're not like on your deathbed. You're not like.
Don't make your age be an excuse. That is the.
Don't make your age be an excuse,
the
man.
worst habit you can get into.
If you want to go play an instrument, bro, go fucking play. Like guitar, man. Practice every day. After 2 years, you'll be like, damn, I can play some shit.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, there are, like, to attest to that, there's people on YouTube that start YouTube at like 50 and they get success by like 60. I mean, it's like, you can do it. It's really down to you having grit and also you just not caring what other people are going to say about it and just fucking doing it. Like, just shredding it. John, thank you.
Dude, thank you.
It's been a pleasure.
Handshake.
Shake your hand.
Yeah.
This is awesome.
All right, goodbye.
Goodbye.
Bye.